that's just my opinion. All right, and my opinion is subject to change. When I get new information, my opinion is subject to change. But this is my opinion based on the information that I currently have. So there's that. On today's Smelly Opinion, did NASA actually find a bunch of gold up in space? Is In-N-Out CEO actually leaving California? And is Earth's rotation actually spinning up? Stay tuned to find out more on today's Smelly Opinion. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to BADDEC 101. Now, I'm just taking a break here from messing around with the AI music generator. And before this is not going to be an AI music video. This is just a little something different here. See, I've been interested in doing something different with my channel. I like watching shows on YouTube, people reading the news and giving their commentary on it and stuff like that. And so I figured I'd try my hand at that. I'm not the wisest person out there. I'm not the most intelligent person out there. So I figure reading some news would do me pretty good. And so yeah, let's get into it. The first article I found that piqued my interest. Okay, I haven't read any of these articles just yet. This is going to be you and me going through it the first time together. I saw the headlines and I was like, hey, yeah. So I bookmarked it and here I am reading it. Now, I started collecting these articles about a month ago or so. So some of it might be old news, but I'm just trying this out. If you like this kind of video, hit the like button, subscribe. Maybe I'll do some more. So the first article is from a website called ecoportal.net. I guess the publication is called The Pulse. And the headline is 700 quintillion and 27 quadrillion tons. NASA finds the biggest gold reservoir in the universe. That definitely piques my interest. I'm into keeping up on what gold's doing. Gold and silver, that's one of my interests. I like watching that stuff, and copper too. Precious metals. I'm into precious metals. So, again, 700 quintillion and 27 quadrillion tons. NASA finds the biggest gold reservoir in the universe. For centuries, NASA has gazed at the night sky, dreaming of untapped wealth in the cosmos. I've looked up at the night sky, also dreaming of untapped wealth. What I can do to tap into it. With improvements in spaceflight and robotics, that dream is edging closer to reality. Private companies and national agencies alike now eye asteroids, not just for science, but for the raw materials they harbor. At the forefront is 16 Psyche. I suppose that's the name of the asteroid, 16 Psyche, a massive metal-rich asteroid nestled in the main belt and a prime candidate in this unfolding space age prospecting race. So it's in the main asteroid belt. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it takes us about 2 years to get to Mars when Mars is at its closest point. And the asteroid belt is, I think, twice as far from us as Mars is. So it would take like 4 or 5 years to reach the asteroid belt and another 4 or 5 years to come home. That's not mentioning how long it would take to get all this gold out of the asteroid. In some cases, the universe holds more gold and precious rocks in an asteroid than it does on Earth. So they're saying that there's more gold in this asteroid than exists on Earth total. That's just mind-boggling to think about. How big is this asteroid? Let's see. In 2019, astronomers stunned the public with rough estimates valuing Psyche's metal reserves, iron, nickel, and gold, as high as 700 quintillion, a figure so large it made headlines suggesting everyone on Earth could become billionaires. But that's not going to happen. The government's not going to give everybody on Earth all that gold. They're going to bring it back here. They're going to use some of it to leverage their currencies. They're going to use a lot of it to make more technology, to make more electronics. Because from what I understand, gold is the most, like, the best conductive material that we have found so far. It doesn't tarnish. It could be. You can make it as thin as a molecule. You can have a gold film that's as thin as a molecule. It's very versatile. But yeah, suggesting everyone on Earth can become billionaires, but I don't think it's going to happen. The number sparked not just excitement, but real-world conversations about the future of mining and resource economics, up to and including fears about crashing global markets, inflation, and geopolitical scramble that might follow. Yet, beneath the hype lies a deeper tension. Extracting vast quantities of precious metals from an asteroid isn't just a matter of the machinery. It's about logistics, cost, and timing. Timing is very important because, I don't know if you know, but this is what I know. The Earth's orbit and all the other orbits in the planets, they're not like how they show in the books. They're not perfectly circular orbits. They're elliptical orbits, which means like imagine an egg. You know the shape of an egg, right? Okay, well, that can be considered elliptical in shape. It's wide on one side and really thin on the other side, and that's how we orbit. Sometimes we're far away from the Earth. Sometimes the Earth is far away from the sun. Sometimes it's close to the sun. And so that's why earlier I said it takes 2 years to get to Mars when we're at our closest point to Mars. So, if you tried to launch to Mars while we're at our furthest point from Mars, it's of course going to take longer than 2 years. Same thing with this asteroid belt. We have to launch when we're closest to it, and it has to make its return launch when we are closest to it, which takes time. It takes a while for us to return to this perfect place. Even if Psyche holds metal worth untold trillions, flooding Earth's market could annihilate those asset values and ripple through financial systems. Meaning, thank you, I appreciate this, meaning the technical and legal hurdles, ownership rights in space, transport costs, in orbit, refining, have been barely addressed. Okay, so they haven't even started talking about the technical and legal hurdles, the ownership rights from space, transport costs, and here, this is a new phrase, new term for me, in-orbit refining. So they would refine it before it reaches Earth, which I guess is kind of cool. That would cut down on a lot of pollution that refining does emit into the atmosphere. And let's see here, NASA will launch a mission. Now NASA is shifting from speculation toward action. Its Psyche spacecraft launched in October 2023. Okay, so they already launched something to Psyche in 2023 is designed not to mine, but to map and analyze the asteroid's structure and composition, offering technical data ahead of any possible extraction. That mission, set to reach Psyche in 2029. 2029. So let's do some backwards mathing here. That's 6 years. From 2023 to 2029, it's going to take 6 years to reach it. Okay, so the asteroid belt is more than twice as far from us than Mars is. That mission, set to reach Psyche in 2029, could redefine not just our understanding of planetary cores, but also whether cosmic gold is a legend or a ledger we can actually balance. NASA has identified over 1.3 million asteroids in our solar system, many of them rich in valuable materials like platinum, cobalt, and gold. Some, like 16 Psyche and 241 Germania, are believed to be remnants of failed planets, stripped down planetary cores floating in space. The impact of NASA reaching Psyche. One small near-Earth asteroid known as 2011 UW158. Oh, wow, that's a very, very memorable name. I'll remember 16 Psyche. I'm not going to remember 2011 UW158. This one near-Earth asteroid is believed to contain an estimated $5.4 trillion worth of platinum. Wow. Really? That's a lot of platinum. But it is skewing to another subject here. $5.4 trillion. That's like a drop in the bucket compared to the debt we have here in the United States being like, what, $32 trillion? What is that? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. As 1/6 of our national debt worth of platinum. Some models suggest that a single successful mission could exceed Earth's entire annual metal production, a shift that could disrupt global markets overnight. A single successful mission could disrupt global markets overnight. Asteroids have shaped Earth's history in profound ways, not just as extraterrestrial threats. That's a freaking tongue twister for me. But possibly as life givers. Some scientists believe that asteroid impacts may have brought key ingredients for life to Earth, including water, carbon, and amino acids. At the same time, the threat of future asteroid impacts remains very real. Going off on a little tangent here one time, this one time I was just out of high school, so it had to have been 1999. Possibly during the Perseids meteor shower. I can't be too sure of that. But anyways, I was stargazing with a couple friends. Now, my couple friends didn't see what was going on because they were too busy like FaceTiming each other. And I don't mean on the phone. We didn't have FaceTime back then. FaceTime back then was smoochy, smoochy, kissy, kissy, XOXO kind of stuff. So I'm like looking up, stargazing, and this thing hits our atmosphere. And I'm not kidding when I say the sparks that this thing threw off. You know, if I was holding a quarter up to the sky, a piece of change, a quarter dollar, if I was holding that up to the sky, I would have seen sparks extend beyond the rim of this quarter. And it was probably, I don't know, maybe this length, holding that up to the sky, this length of my thumb, just it was something skipping off our atmosphere, and it was gigantic. It was huge. So I understand the threat of asteroid impacts is definitely a reality. Um, but NASA's DART mission, which successfully nudged a small asteroid off course in 2022, marked a major milestone in planetary defense efforts. Moving on, preparations for the mission. As researchers prepare to study Psyche more closely, the mission's outcome won't just help future mining efforts. It could also unlock a better understanding of how planets form, how wealth is distributed across the solar system. Does the solar system care about such a concept as wealth? It could also unlock a better understanding of how planets form, how wealth is distributed across the solar system, and how fragile or lucky life on Earth really is. These asteroids hold more than just metal, they carry history, risk, and possibility. Asteroids have reshaped our planet before, and they could do so again, which is exactly what NASA's latest mission is working to prevent. It's a scenario famously dramatized in the movie Armageddon. I'm sure some of you have seen that. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you go watch it. It's a nice action flick. Dramatized by the movie Armageddon, where a team of miners is sent into space to drill into an asteroid and stop it from colliding with Earth. That's where we're ending the article. Interesting. Anyways, yeah, that's crazy to think. 700 quintillion tons of gold. Like, if we brought that to Earth, if all that gold somehow was brought to Earth, I wonder if the weight of that gold. Oh, oh no. It's $700 quintillion dollars, which is 27 quadrillion tons. Okay, 27 quadrillion tons. Would that affect the rotation of the Earth? I mean, would we get, if it wasn't distributed across the Earth evenly, if it was all being stored in one place, would that like cause us to wobble off kilter? I mean, we already have a wobble. Our precession already has this thing going on, man. Anyways, real quick, down in the description below is a link to all the articles that I'm going through, giving you my opinion on. And there's also a link to my Amazon bookstore. I've got a fantasy adventure I wrote. I've got several card games that I've made available in book form. All you got to do is cut the cards out, slip them in some sleeves, and you're ready to go. All right, back to our show. So this next article is about the CEO of In-N-Out moving out of California. Now, let's see here. Billionaire In-N-Out owner Lindsay Snyder stirred up a storm of online controversy when she revealed that she planned to move her family out of California to Tennessee. The news comes as In-N-Out begins to expand heavily in the South, launching a new joint headquarters in Franklin, Tennessee, near Nashville, where Snyder will also be based. Snyder revealed the coming move on a recent podcast appearance, saying, "There's a lot of great things about California, but raising a family is not easy here." That's absolutely right. Doing business is not easy here. That is also absolutely right. Now, I don't have a family of my own to raise, but I am part of a family that was raised in California, and it has not been easy at all. Back to the article. Again, she says, "There's a lot of great things about California, but raising a family is not easy here. Doing business is not easy here." There's a clip from a new episode of Ali Beth Stuckey's conservative podcast called Relatable. It quickly made the rounds on social media. Many Californians were not happy about the way she presented the decision, with some even calling for a boycott of California-born burger chain. That's stupid. They're calling for a boycott of In and Out simply because the owner wants to expand in other states. That's freaking stupid. Continuing, they're happy to take our money and hate everything else about us, read one post in the Los Angeles subreddit with over 7,500 upvotes. In the thread, people chimed in about the hypocrisy of a billionaire fast food company heiress complaining about hardship. Must have been so hard to live as a billionaire in California. Thoughts and prayers for her through this difficult time, read one popular sarcastic comment in another Reddit thread. Some people on Reddit, Instagram, and Threads went as far as to suggest a boycott of In N Out. In the comments of In N Out's most recent Instagram post, a few shared a hashtag boycott In N Out tag. Freaking stupid. There's too many good burgers in Los Angeles to go to a fast food chain like In N Out, where the owner openly says they hate California. That they're nowhere in anything that I've read so far up to this point said she hates California. What she said is she wants In and Out to expand in other states in the South, and to help facilitate that, she's moving there to be closer to the expansion. In and Out's not leaving California. She doesn't hate California, and she was right, absolutely right, to say that it's difficult to raise a family here and it's difficult to run a business here. It absolutely is. I'm trying to run my own business, BADDEC, and I'm not even off the ground. I'm still crawling. I've been trying at this for like 2 years, and I don't think I'm even at where I can say I'm crawling. I'm just trying. It's difficult, man. It's really difficult. Let's see here. Back to the article. One video on TikTok calling for a boycott and calling Snyder a Nepo baby in the process has racked up over 112,000 likes. Okay. Nepo baby, I don't think people understand what that actually means. Inheriting a business from your parents doesn't make you a Nepo baby. What makes you a Nepo baby is if your parents are like really established in a certain field, and you yourself have no idea what to do in that field, but still they put you into it, and you you're not even good at it, whatsoever. Your parents put you into it, but you start to excel not because of your talents, but because of the money that's getting poured into you for advertising and making connections. Somebody else is pouring that money into you, and you're getting big and you're getting famous for doing like nothing. Like Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton is a Nepo baby. All right. She's got absolutely no talents whatsoever, and she got famous seemingly overnight because of a sex tape, and because of all the money people were putting into her to promote her all over the place. That's what a Nepo baby is, being a baby of nepotism. Anyways, back to the article. More than anything, California fans of the burger chain seem to see Snyder's comment as a betrayal of the state that built her business. It's not. It's not a betrayal whatsoever. California has treated her family and their business very, very well, read one Reddit comment. This is simply ungrateful and shameful. It's ungrateful and shameful that In and Out wants to expand outside of California. It's already got a couple places out in like Nevada and Arizona, and I think that's about it. I'm not too well read on the whole situation of In and Out, but it's simply ungrateful and shameful for her to want to expand in the South and on the East Coast. So she's moving out there to help facilitate that. Stupid. On X, San Francisco account Oracle Park Siegel had one of the most popular posts on the topic with 23,000 likes. Not easy for In and Out to do business in California, said the person who became a billionaire doing business almost exclusively in California. So much so, it was a point of pride for the chain. Gotcha. Okay, first of all, in relation to that, it was easy to start a business in California years ago. back in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s and the 50s. It was really easy. But regulations have been added since then. More and more and more regulations have been added since then. And over the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and now the 2020s, it has gotten extremely hard to run a business in California. It's almost like California doesn't want businesses. Case in point, there's a lot of businesses lately that have just they're moving out of California. You know, it's not just In and Out wanting to move to the south and expand. Rite Aid went bankrupt. Walgreens moving out of California. There's so many businesses that are just picking up and moving out of California because it is actually very difficult to run a business here. Many also noted that unlike California, Tennessee does not have state income tax, and its minimum wage for workers is much lower than California's. Two factors that could be driving the companies and Snyder's plans in the state. Yeah, you know what? Minimum wage in California is getting higher and higher and higher, which is okay. I work hourly. I'm an hourly worker. I got started at much higher than minimum wage working in grocery. But the point of minimum wage is to incentivize the employee to not stay there their whole life, to climb the ladder, to accelerate. I don't know if accelerate is the right word, but to accelerate their career in a better direction. You're not meant to be able to live off of minimum wage. And the fact that places like McDonald's and other fast food restaurants have raised their minimum wage up to this $15, $16 range, that's why it's gotten so expensive to eat at these fast food places. It's why it's getting more expensive to buy food from anywhere, because the employers have to get that money from somewhere to pay their employees. They have to get it from their sales. If they don't raise the prices for their sales, then they can't afford to give minimum wage. I hear people out there going, "Oh, there's these billionaires that run the corporations. They can afford it." You know what? Maybe they can afford it for a couple years. But after a couple years of floating the bill without raising their prices, they're not going to be billionaires anymore. They're not even going to be millionaires anymore. And that's so bad for them. You know what? If you are so bitter about life that you're not making all the money, go to school. All right. It's not that hard. There's community colleges out there all over the place for you to go to. I went to college for a little bit. Let me walk that back. I went to college for physical therapy and massage therapy. So it's not like I've got this college degree behind me. I've only got 500 hours of certification under my belt, and I'm working in grocery. You know, I actually like working in grocery. But still, if you're so bitter about it, go out and do yourself a solid and learn what you need to learn in order to make all that money, instead of trying to drag other people down who have put in the time to make that money. Anyways, that's just my opinion. All right. And my opinion is subject to change. When I get new information, my opinion is subject to change. But this is my opinion based on the information that I currently have. So there's that. Back to the article. In and Out, which remains privately owned by the Snyder family, it's not even corporate, it's a privately owned by a family, which remains privately owned by the Snyder family, has long been a proudly Christian company and has come under fire in the past for its anti-LGBTQ alphabet people and anti-vaccine views, though previous calls for boycotts did not seem to have deeply impacted the company's bottom line. No, because it's good food. It's good food, the very limited menu, and their prices, even though prices have been going up because of inflation, it still only costs you maybe like $10 to get a meal and a drink there, instead of let's say McDonald's costing you $15 to $18 just to get a meal with a little tiny hamburger and fries and a drink. So, there's still a good margin there. Snyder also said on the Relatable podcast that the company's current headquarters in Irvine, California would shutter completely by 2030. That's 5 years away. That's 5 years away. Part of a years-long plan to consolidate its West Coast operations back in Baldwin Park, where the brand was founded in 1948. 1948. It was easy to start a business back then. It's not easy to run a business today in 2025. The new Tennessee co-headquarters is expected to open in 2026, with Snyder herself seemingly intent on spending a lot of time in that office. Good for her. I guess that's where the article ends. Very short article. Yeah, so this is the thing is I've actually heard people talking about this article, and they're all under the impression that In-N-Out is fully leaving California, as in there aren't going to be any In-N-Out burger stands in California, and that is just incorrect. That is false. I'm squashing that rumor right here, right now. In-N-Out is expanding, and they're expanding in the South. And in order to help facilitate that expansion, the boss is moving the family to that location. So, anyways, that's it on that article. Let's see what we got next. So, apparently, Earth is spinning faster, leading timekeepers to consider an unprecedented move. This is from CNN.com. And, well, here we go. Earth is spinning faster this summer, making the days marginally shorter and attracting the attention of scientists and timekeepers. July 10th was the shortest day of the year so far, lasting 1.3 milliseconds less than 24 hours. 1.3 milliseconds. That's what this article must be slow over at CNN. According to data from the International Earth Rotation and Reference Systems Services and the U.S. Naval Observatory, compiled by timeanddate.com. More exceptionally short days are coming on July 22nd and August 5th. These days have already passed by the time I'm recording this, but then he was currently predicted to be 1.34 and 1.25 milliseconds shorter than 24 hours, respectively. The length of day is the time it takes for the planet to complete one full rotation on its axis. Gee, no kidding. 24 hours or 86,400 seconds on average. But in reality, each rotation is slightly irregular due to a variety of factors, such as the gravitational pull of the moon, seasonal changes in the atmosphere, and the influence of Earth's liquid core. As a result, a full rotation usually takes slightly less or slightly more than 86,400 seconds, a discrepancy of just milliseconds that doesn't have any obvious effect on everyday life. Gee, you think? However, these discrepancies can, in the long run, affect computers, satellites, and telecommunications, which is why even the smallest time deviations are tracked using atomic clocks, which were introduced in 1955. Some experts believe this could lead to a scenario similar to the Y2K problem. I remember that. How many of you out there remember the Y2K problem? Were you getting ready for the end of the world in 1999? I set up a doomsday party. I had a doomsday party going on New Year's Eve of 1999. Some like 200 people showed up and we just partied. Midnight hit, nothing happened. 1 o'clock hit, nothing. All the computers were fine. All the computers were absolutely fine. It was just a bunch of poppycock and mumbo jumbo. Yeah, the Y2K problem threatened to bring modern civilization to a halt. It did not. Atomic clocks count the oscillations of atoms held in a vacuum chamber within the clock itself to calculate 24 hours to the utmost degree of precision. We call the resulting time UTC, or Coordinated Universal Time. Wouldn't that be CUT? Interesting. Okay. UTC, CUT. Why not just Universal Time Coordinated or Coordinated Universal Time? Weird. Which is based on around 450 atomic clocks and is the global standard for timekeeping, as well as the time to which all phones and computers are set. So there's some 450 atomic clocks around the world, and that's how everything is kept nice and on time. Astronomers also keep track of Earth's rotation using satellites that check the position of the planet relative to fixed stars, for example, and can detect minute differences between the atomic clock's time and the amount of time it actually takes Earth to complete a full rotation. Last year, on July 5th, 2024, Earth experienced the shortest day ever recorded since the advent of the atomic clock 65 years ago at 1.66 milliseconds less than 24 hours. Hold on. Okay, yeah. Last year on July 5th, it was 1.66, and this year on July 5th, it was 1.36. So, yeah, Earth is speeding up. We've been on a trend towards slightly faster days since 1972. Since 1972. Okay. Duncan Agnew, a professor emeritus of geophysics at the Scripps Institute of Oceanography and a research geophysicist at the University of California, San Diego. That's what he said. He said we've been on a trend towards slightly faster days since 1972. He's also said, but there are fluctuations. It's like watching the stock market, really. There are long term trends and there are peaks and falls. In 1972, after decades of rotating relatively slowly, Earth's spin had accumulated such a delay relative to atomic time that the International Earth Rotation and Reference System Service mandated, that is a mouthful. In 1972, after decades of rotating relatively slowly, Earth's spin had accumulated such a delay relative to atomic time that the International Earth Rotation and Reference System Service mandated the addition of a leap second to the UTC. A leap second. So they added a second. This is similar to the leap year, which adds an extra day to February every 4 years to account for the discrepancy between the Gregorian calendar and the time it takes Earth to complete one orbit around the Sun. Since 1972, a total of 27 leap seconds have been added to the UTC, but the rate of addition has increasingly slowed due to the Earth speeding up. 9 leap seconds were added throughout the 1970s, with no new leap seconds having been added since 2016. Okay, hold on. That is a weird sentence. Let's rearrange that sentence. Due to Earth speeding up, 9 leap seconds were added throughout the 1970s. And since 1972, a total of 27 leap seconds have been added to the UTC, but none have been added since 2016. In 2022, the General Conference of Weights and Measures voted to retire the leap second by 2035, meaning we may never see another one added to the clocks. But if Earth keeps spinning faster for several more years, according to Agnew, eventually 1 second might need to be removed. There's never been a negative leap second, he said, but the probability of having one between now and 2035 is about 40%. What's causing Earth to spin faster? The shortest term changes in Earth's rotation, Agnew said, come from the moon and the tides, which make it spin slower when the satellite is over the equator and faster when it's at the higher or lower altitudes. This effect compounds with the fact that during the summer, Earth naturally spins faster. the result of the atmosphere itself slowing down due to the seasonal changes, such as the jet stream moving north or south. The laws of physics dictate that overall angular momentum of Earth and its atmosphere must remain constant. So the rotation speed lost by the atmosphere is picked up by the planet itself. Similarly, for the past 50 years, Earth's liquid core has also been slowing down, with the solid Earth around it speeding up. So, yeah, basically, the article goes on to start talking about ice melting, glaciers shifting, and that having a possible effect, and so forth. So, if you want to read the full article, you can click the link down in the description below. I think that's where we're going to leave it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate you watching this and listening to me ramble on with my opinions about things. Yeah. This has been a BADDEC news commentary. Maybe I'll make it a Smely opinion news commentary. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it a Smely opinion news commentary. So I appreciate everything. We'll see you guys around. On X, San Francisco account, on an X, blah, blah, blah. Snyder also said that Relatable said on the Relatable, blah. So the podcast is called Relatable that she went on. On July 10th was the shortest day of the year so far, lasting 1.3. Why is this even an article? Let's start that over here. The day length is the time, and Duncan Agnew, a professor of emeritus of geophysics at the Scripps Institute of Oceanography. The shortest term changes in Earth's rotation, Agnew said, come from the moon and the tides, which make it spin slower than the satellite is. Man, these giant run-on sentences. You think somebody who writes articles would know the dangers of a run-on sentence? Let's try this again.